kinds of foul things would you be willing to endure in your work? Would you wade in pigeon droppings for hours at a time? Collect corpses from the grisly scenes of car crashes, murders, and suicides? Or dive into sewers through waters filled with excrement, toxic waste, and dead bodies? What kind of work would be taboo for you? Work is often hard, but there are some jobs that require a special kind of endurance. The ability to tolerate things so disgusting, so rank, so gross, that most people would do almost anything to avoid them. In the 1,200-year-old city of Fez, Morocco, people still do their work the old-fashioned way. And sometimes that means getting much more than just their hands dirty. In one factory here, it means practicing one of the most noxious crafts on Earth, the revolting job of turning raw animal skins into beautiful leather. It is not a job for the squeamish. This tannery is infamous as the foulest smelling place in all of Fez. And it reeks of much more than the scent of animal hides that arrive daily. Its stench emanates from an abundant supply of another fetid but natural ingredient: pigeon droppings. Visitors to the tannery don't just notice the odor.
You're right, it smells quite strong.
They're staggered by it.
Oh my God. Initially, when you sort of first smell it, it's really overpowering. And it's like, to me, it smelled like manure. There's a manure smell, and then there's a smell that's quite sickening. It'd be awful, absolutely awful to have to work here.
The smells are a particularly powerful elicitor of disgust.
Paul Rosen is professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania.
When you smell something, you take it into your body. It's almost like eating. So there's something more intimate about smelling than there is about seeing or hearing.
But like all dirty and smelly work, somebody has to do it. Every day, 17-year-old Musin must wind his way through the ancient alleyways of Fez. He is following in the footsteps of the countless generations who have labored before him in this 600-year-old tannery.
I knew about the smell because before dropping out of school, I used to come help my father in the tannery. My first time here, the smell was terrible. I felt like I was suffocating. I couldn't bear it. But after a while, the smell simply became normal for me. I no longer noticed it at all.
After just 3 years here, Musin's tenure has been relatively brief. But his father, Abdel, has been breathing in the tannery stench for more than 3 decades.
My father taught me everything about the tannery. I do the same thing as he does.
Each delivery of skins fresh from the slaughter means the start of a stinking, wet, filthy process. It's part of Musin's job to unload the hides and wash them, which can be a stomach-turning chore in itself. Musin's father, Abdel, knows this job is not his son's first choice. Many of Morocco's young people turn up their noses at the thought of working in the smelly tannery.
Many days he doesn't even want to come here to work, but he has to because he has no alternative. If he had the option to do something else, then he would do something else.
I do this job to make a living because I need to make money in order to survive. But if I could find another job, I wouldn't stay in this job for even a minute.
One of the wonderful things about modern society and about the West is that we can, at least in theory, do almost whatever we want to do.
Gerald Urchak is professor of anthropology at Skidmore College.
But in societies such as the one we're looking at here, you have people that are essentially locked in to a particular occupation. On the one hand, at least they have an occupation, but on the other hand, it's an occupation that many of them would probably like not to have.
Of all the foul tasks Musin must do, few are worse than washing the animal skins. And there's no other way to do it than to climb right into the tub. A fetid sewer of animal hides, flesh, hair and bacteria. Exposure to the filth makes Musin and his co-workers more susceptible to infections, particularly if they were to have any open sores or cuts. And the waste just keeps flowing. While Musin rinses his lambskins, others prepare cowhides for tanning, scraping the leftovers into the same near-stagnant pool. Cleaning is just one part of this job, but it alone is enough to disgust or even sicken many outsiders.
Disgust is, in large part, though not entirely, about sort of contact with our animal nature. And so anything that puts you into contact with that would be inclined to be disgusting. Anything having to do with the insides of the body, like, you know, animals have guts and things and blood inside them, and we share that with animals. And that kind of sharing of things with animals is sort of offensive to people. People like to think of themselves as better than animals, above them, and they don't like the reminder that they're really an animal, basically just a fancy animal.
Nothing about this job is for the faint of heart, but Musin has learned to appreciate its benefits.
My friends who work in other professions tell me that my job is good because I can take a swim in the water in the summer. It's not like other jobs, such as working for a shoemaker, where you have to stay in the same place all day long.
The tanning process isn't just dirty. It's also dangerous. Musin has to paint the skins with a lime mixture to separate the lamb's wool from its valuable hide. But the acidic lime can burn human skin. He works very carefully under the ever-watchful eye of his father.
If you were going to do something, you have to do it properly.
This work has changed little since medieval times, when the skills of tanners and bookbinders helped make the word Morocco synonymous with fine leather. Yet despite its reputation, the reward for carrying on this unappealing job brings beginning tanners just $2 a day, and very experienced ones about $5. Musin's work is overseen by the owner of the skins. He knows that virtually all the ingredients used at the tannery are natural, and over the years has come to swear by the power of the bark water in this vat as a cleansing mouthwash. Its techniques may be organic, but the tannery is far from a sterile place to work or to visit. Coming up, visitors to the tannery endure some of the world's foulest smells.
Many tourists have vomited here.
And later, would you volunteer to be a body collector? As odd as it may seem, tourists to Fez often choose to explore the tannery, despite warnings about its stench.
Some things rotten in Denmark.
Oh my God.
Lorraine is a nurse from Australia, visiting Morocco as part of a tour group. From above, they are getting their first glimpse and whiff of the tannery.
Wow. Ooh.
It's obviously blood and flesh curing, and it's got a definite smell of a killing field.
Before entering the heart of the tannery, the tour guide prepares the group for what's to come.
Who gives the bad smells? It's not the skin, it's the sheets of pigeons. Yes, we use the sheets of pigeons to make them softer.
Really?
Yes, because in this time,
Workers here may be accustomed to the stench, but they know it can hit visitors like a blow to the gut.
Many tourists have vomited here, not just one or two.
The guide gives the tourists fresh mint to use as an air freshener.
we put the mint inside the nose. Put this in your nose and you feel nothing, no pain.
Oh, charming.
But the effects of the mint are limited.
Oh, no, I don't want to go in here. Oh, my God. Oh, that's an experience. I can smell dirt, manure, urine. It's like skins laying everywhere, fur and horns. It smells getting to me again.
Much of that odor comes from the factory's potent and pungent secret ingredient, pigeon droppings. Often it's up to Mosine and his father to find their smelly prize. And sometimes that can take quite a hunt. Today's search takes them to the house of a family friend who keeps pigeons on his roof. The birds are well trained. They know where to do their business. Normally, it takes about a pound of pigeon droppings to tan 5 animal skins. The pickings here are slim, but Mosine and his father will add the fresh droppings to the supply they already have. The smell inside the coop is tolerable. It's when the droppings get wet and mix with decaying flesh that they really cause a stink. With plenty of pigeon droppings, Mosine can now complete the one job at the tannery that's by far the dirtiest and the smelliest: wading into a vat of excrement. The stench is overpowering, but Mosine must keep his head and be sure to add just the right amount of water to the pigeon droppings. The perfect mix will help make the skins supple, but not too soft.
The pigeon droppings have a burning quality, so when you put it on the skin, it bites into it and softens it. And then the skin becomes like a piece of cloth.
But to transform these raw hides into leather cloth requires Mosine to get down and dirty. Shoeless, he can use his toes and heels to knead the skins over and over. For almost 3 hours, he tromps around the vat. Even apart from the smell, it's a difficult chore, requiring strength and endurance. Finally, the skins are soft enough to please the expert, his father, Abdel.
This is a very good job. It's a good job, isn't it? Just look at what we produce. It's beautiful. My son made this.
It's a product to be proud of, and few who end up wearing this leather on their feet will ever know that it was crafted in one of the foulest smelling places on earth. Often people find jobs undesirable because they involve contact with something taboo. And there are few things more taboo than the dead.
Dead bodies are a major category of disgust elicitors cross-culturally. Touching them, being near them, smelling them. Death is right at the center of what disgust is about.
But there are people who seek out the dead, who confront death at its most grisly, and who do it for free. Would you want to do this in your spare time? Spend your nights rushing to grisly scenes, auto accidents, fires, and horrible crimes, and then retrieve the dead bodies? Would you volunteer to be a body collector? It's 10 p.m. On the streets of Bangkok, Thailand, another motorcyclist has met a tragic end. And 29-year-old Benjawan Makmi is at the scene. But Benjawan is not a paramedic or a nurse. She's a housewife and mother who night after night faces death voluntarily. The blood and twisted body of the victim would sicken most people. When Benjawan handled her first corpse, she was no different.
I was very shocked. I'd only seen this on TV. Never the real thing. I felt like I couldn't take it. It was so scary.
Touching the dead may be the one thing that terrifies nearly everyone. In many cultures throughout the world, there is a strong taboo against it.
Death is a polluting event for most people. It's a contaminating event. If you touch death, somehow the dead body, it sort of takes on it, it enters you in some way. It's a sense of you catching death almost by touching it.
By night, Benjuan does a job many view as disgusting and filthy. By day, she earns a living keeping things clean. She makes a modest salary taking in others' laundry. While to kids in the West, it might seem normal for mom to volunteer for the PTA or the local soup kitchen. Benjuan's children have had to get used to the fact that their mother chooses to pick up dead bodies. And in this household, Benjuan's not alone. Her husband, who works as a contractor, also volunteers as a body collector. Why would anyone want to do this? Although it's gross work, for them, it's good work. As Buddhists, they believe they'll be rewarded, if not in this life, then in the next.
I think that if I do good now, then after reincarnation, good things will happen to me and my family. Right now might be difficult, but the next reincarnation, or the next day, we'll be a little better off.
In Bangkok, of course, the people are Theravada Buddhist, and they believe very deeply in reincarnation. So if you carry out your duties in this life the best you can, that greatly increases your chance of coming out better in the next life.
Benjuan volunteers for the Ram Katanyu Foundation. This Buddhist charity has trained over 4,000 volunteers to do everything from fight fires to collect and bury bodies. In Thailand, every year, 12,000 people die in auto accidents, many of them in Bangkok. Another 10,000 are murdered or commit suicide. Stretched woefully thin, Bangkok's emergency services could never handle the tide of death without help from the volunteer teams of body collectors. A single charity can collect over 400 cadavers in a month. The volunteers believe they'll get spiritual credit or merits that will benefit them in this life and when their spirit is reincarnated after death. The nastier the work, the more merits you earn. This notion of doing good in this life to gain spiritual merit in the next is not unique to Buddhism.
There have been religious orders throughout Western history that were devoted to caring for lepers, for doing the most difficult kinds of activities. In the Christian tradition, people see it as very much guaranteeing a place in heaven and something that we admire.
These spiritual rewards may explain why people from all walks of life volunteer to collect bodies.
Everyone asks why. When I'm an actor and am popular and have money, do I want to do this?
Saran Bangi-Khan, known to his friends as Wave, is a popular soap opera star. By day, Wave is a busy professional with constant demands on his time and talent. By night, he's a volunteer body collector.
I choose to do this job because I get to work with corpses and dead people. It's something that most people are afraid of. They detest it because of the smell or the state of the body. But we're willing to do this type of work.
Wave is so enthusiastic about collecting bodies, he's bought his own truck and gear. So when an emergency happens, he and his team can immediately spring into action.
Some people ask, can I do it? Do I dare do it? Aren't you scared? When you come into work and get used to it, and you're not afraid anymore, you want to keep doing it, and you want to use all that you have to help them, to help the people in this society.
Coming up, Wave must face a disturbing death. And later, could you earn your paycheck diving into raw sewage? For the volunteer body collectors of Bangkok, auto accidents are disturbing enough. But even worse are deaths that are not accidents at all.
We got a call about someone who hung himself in a rented room. We are waiting for the police to come and for the doctor to determine if it was a suicide or a murder.
Wave and his team go in once the doctor rules the death a suicide. What they find is grisly. The man has been dead for 2 days. Before Wave does anything else, he pulls on his gloves.
There are many kinds of diseases like AIDS and things like that pass through the blood and wounds. Everyone's afraid of them. Every time we go to work, we have to wear gloves, no matter if they are hurt or are dead, just for protection.
Once the coroner and the police are done, they make way for the body collectors. In Thailand, suicide is considered a crime worse than murder because it denies the spirit the chance for a positive reincarnation. Wave knows few would be able to confront such a horrible death.
Sometimes people want to help, but they don't dare to. They are probably afraid of the smell, afraid of the blood, dirty things, messed up things, or they are afraid of the diseases you might get. And the smell that touches your clothes and your body, sometimes we have to throw our clothes away because there's no way to wash the smell out.
The dead man must be fingerprinted before being taken to the police station. The morgue is overcrowded. Without a way to identify it, the body might get confused with another. Then the body collectors wrap the corpse with absorbent paper to prevent its fluids from escaping. Throughout, the volunteers handle the cadaver with utmost respect. And if a victim's family cannot be found, the body collectors will even provide a funeral for him. For Wave, any death, even this one, is made easier to face when it's considered a natural part of life.
People are born, get old, get sick, and die. It happens to everyone. You don't know when it will happen, so we learn acceptance.
Wave's team is just one of many charities in Bangkok that collect bodies and spiritual merit. It's not uncommon for several of them to answer the same call, each fighting to be first on the scene. But for many others, no matter what the reward, such jobs will always remain taboo.